Hi, my name is Dale Maley. In this short video, I'm going to explain how I designed and built a small set of heavy-duty steps. A little background history on this project. My wife has a condo that was built around the year 2000, so it would be 24 years old. And for some reason, neither latex or oil-based paint will stick to the steps or an adjacent fence. So it is definitely time to replace these old steps. So the first step in this project was to carefully remove the old steps and be careful and not to damage the vinyl siding. Now here's a photograph showing the condition of the door after I removed the old steps. The sill height is 15 inches here, so the new steps also must fit between the two vertical vinyl siding edge pieces. And my plan is I will screw the new steps into that 2x8 you can see down near the bottom right above the concrete foundation. You do need to allow for a way to screw the stairs into the house so they're very stable after they're installed. So on all these projects, I get the tape measure out and a pad of paper, and I take all the key dimensions that I'm going to need to enter into my SketchUp drafting program at home, so I can design the new set of stairs to fit properly into the condo. So here's what the condo looks like without any stairs, as shown in my SketchUp drafting program. And I've learned over the years to allow some clearance here, because you don't build things perfectly, and pressure treated wood's not always perfectly square and the right thickness either, so I allowed a 1/4 inch clearance between the step sides and the vinyl siding trim pieces shown in white. I also allowed a 1/4 inch clearance below the threshold where the top of the stairs would be. So if it's 15 inches to the bottom of the threshold, my new steps will be 14.75 or a 1/4 inch less than that. So when I build the new steps, I'll use 2.5 inch long deck screws to hold the boards together. I'll use 2 vertical 4x4 columns to hold the handrail, and I'll bolt those columns or those 4x4s onto the stringers using 1/2 inch diameter galvanized bolts. The stringers, which are the pieces of wood the steps actually sit on, they'll be made from 2x12s, and then the steps will also be made from 2x12s, which gives you, they're actually only 11.25 inches wide, and in this case they'll be 43 inches long. This is all new pressure treated wood, and I'm not going to paint it at this time. I could always paint it later, but initially I'm not going to paint these. Now, one question that always arises when you're building steps and you're going to have a handrail: how tall or how high should the handrail be? You can Google it and you'll probably find the same set of guidelines as shown here, which basically suggests the handrail should be 34 to 38 inches above the steps. So I split the difference, and on mine I chose 36 inches for the height of the handrail. So on this project, I need to notch out the right hand sides of both steps so the 4x4 posts will fit in there. So in my case, I used a saber saw to make those 2 notches. You could use any other kind of saw that you have available to cut out those notches. Now this drawing shows the basic frame for the steps. The pink spacer on top there is 1 3/4 wide by 1.5 inches thick, and that's going to fit right under the threshold. And what that does, that lets me use a full width 2x12 for that top step. Now in the back of the stairs, you can see there's 2 lower pieces in back, and what I'm going to do is use those to screw the steps into that 2x8 sill plate that's on the condo. That'll hold the steps in place. On the right hand side, you can see some white short 2x4 spacers, and I put those in there to move the 4x4 posts a little bit away from the right hand side of the stairs so the screen door does not hit the handrail when it opens. Now the stringers for these steps, the height is a little bit taller than a standard 2x12, which is actually 11.25. So what I did, I marked out the blank on a 2x12, but I didn't saw to the final dimension to let me glue on a spacer piece on top. once I clamped and dried that piece that's glued on top, I could come back and you can kind of see the pencil lines. I took a bandsaw and I cut out the final lines to make the stringers. Now here's the actual dimensions of the 3 stringers I made, and you can see the height is 13 1/4. So I took the 2x12 and I sawed it from 11 1/4 down to 11 to give me a nice surface there. Then I glued on a 2 1/4 inch thick spacer on top. Now this photograph shows where I'm assembling up the steps, and I also wanted to show you the 3 galvanized bolts that I used to hold the 4x4s onto the side of the steps. And then one thing I should point out is when you build steps out of pressure treated wood, they're going to turn out to be pretty heavy. So you need to figure out how to transport the steps to the final job site if you're not actually building them on the job site. So what I did, I have to transport these 50 miles to install them. So I made the 2 steps and the handrail. I did not final assemble those up, so they're separate pieces, and they were easy to load everything in a pickup truck, and then I can offload them and take them to the job site. So this photograph shows the steps pretty much done in my garage in Fairbury, Illinois. They're ready to transport 50 miles away for final installation to Washington, Illinois. My handrail up there is a pressure treated 2x4, and so is the angled piece right below it. My steps extend 3 inches out on both sides from the outside stringers. Now here's a couple photographs of the finished steps from different angles. These are really very sturdy steps. What you can do, instead of using 2x stock for the steps, you could use 1 inch thick deck boards for a little bit lighter weight or lighter duty steps. I wanted these heavy duty, so I made them out of 2x12s, and they are very sturdy. So in your application, make sure and carefully measure up whatever the house or condo you're fitting up to. Measure for your application. If you have more than 2 steps, there's several online calculators that will help you design what rise and run you want for the stair treads. And I'd suggest you always leave a little clearances, because pressure treated, the nature of pressure treated wood, and the fact you don't build things perfectly. So in summary, this short video explains how I designed and built some exterior steps. Hopefully this video will be helpful to you on your projects. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe. Thank you.